it may be time for us to discuss the newest Zachary Edward Snyder's film. Not only did he direct, not only did he write and produce, but he also shot Army of the Dead. A couple months ago, we saw the release of the Snyder Cut, the much anticipated full vision for whatever the DC Universe, Justice League, whatever the fuck that was supposed to be. We got to see his unfiltered, unrestrained vision. And then 2 months later, we got even more unrestrained Zachary Snyder, as well as a brand new animated feature from producers Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And very much in the same styling comes The Mitchells versus the Machine, a straight to Netflix feature film, a wonderful cast of characters that fully bring together this family film in a way that doesn't feel childish, doesn't feel pandering, and is touching while also being incredibly visually striking. Something I cannot say for Army of the Dead. As someone who appreciates Zack Snyder, as someone who has seen Sucker Punch more than any other film in my life, I appreciate Zack Snyder. I go there. I try to meet Zack on his level. I try to take in his films from his perspective. And sometimes they hit, and sometimes they miss. And I've always said that he has had such a strong visual sense that maybe, perhaps, Zack should stick solely to cinematography. I no longer think that. My biggest complaint about Army of the Dead is just how sheerly fucking ugly it is. Every single scene feels like it's in a shallow focus of a void. You want it to feel like a grand zombie adventure. If you're promising Vegas under siege by zombies, I want to see Vegas under siege by zombies. If not, then tell me something that's personal. Tell me a character-driven story that happens to be taking place in the zombie apocalypse that tells us a little something about humanity and life and, the connections we make, or like whatever. Don't play God, those things that we know from the zombie films. Zombie films can play on two scales. You can either have the all-out world apocalyptic nature of The Walking Dead, World War Z, 28 Days Later, or you can have the deep, intimate, solid location films such as Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, even Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead, kept mostly safe and close to the mall with our main cast of characters, and he did a really good job to build up some of the relationships, like their relationship with the sharpshooter across the street in that film. Unfortunately, Army of the Dead had none of that. While I do have an affection for Dave Bautista when he's not given a fucking character or anything really interesting to do, then even the most charisma-filled actors can still come off as flat. Unlike in The Mitchells versus the Machines, where every character was so clearly defined. Similarly, they're facing an apocalyptic human ending threat, and they must go into a place to stop that threat. In Army of the Dead, they're trying to rob a casino. In Mitchells versus the Machines, they must stop the machines from taking over. They're all very clearly defined, and they all have their own personal goals. So when they come together or split apart, we understand who the characters are and their motivations behind those actions. What can I tell you about Dave Bautista? He wants money. So he goes into Vegas to get money. She's Dave Bautista's daughter, and she wants to...
You took Nkita! Yeah.
And she wants to get her friend. They haven't come back yet because of Lily, the coyote, who... We got Vanderho. He had the saw, and he wants revenge. We had Maria de Batista second in command, who wanted... Did she also want money? No, she wanted love. She felt love. The cop character just wanted to rape. I think that was his motivation. The safe cracker just really liked cracking safes. Tig, Nataro's character, just,
I hate my life so deeply.
What a very fleshed out group of individuals that I sure have a connection to. The Mitchells vs. the Machines has such a kinetic art style similar to Into the Spider-Verse. So many children's movies today feel like they must be imbued current generation shit. For all intents and purposes, are kind of pandering to children. They know what children enjoy. They know the children things that they get into, and then they just kind of vaguely mimic it or shove it the fuck into the movie in order to please the little runts in the audience. When you have writing and characters that is so strong and a visual style that expresses it so confidently, then the references to online media doesn't seem so obnoxious. Constantly plugged into my phone, I'm looking at all the things all the time, always recording with my phone. And in that way, I feel like all the references and everything was appropriate, which I believe utilizes it in a way that doesn't feel forced or fake, but rather intrinsically true to the world that our characters just happen to inhabit. Zack Snyder doesn't really write characters. He doesn't really write dialogue. He doesn't really write scenes either. It's just cool fucking shots. Fuck, his best storytelling in the entire film is the opening montage of the zombie apocalypse and all of our characters. We get an idea of who they are, the journey they've been through, the struggles that the world is facing without a single line of dialogue. Zack is an effective visual storyteller when he actually allows his visuals to tell the story. Flash forward a couple months, Las Vegas has been walled off, no one can go in or out, unless you're a coyote. Oh, go into that casino, dodge the zombies, and then you'll be bright as rain. Unfortunately for our heroes, the zombies have evolved. Something that I thought The Walking Dead was going towards with the Whisperers. I'm not an avid watcher of The Walking Dead. It is one of my favorite cringe television series to watch. But I thought they were going with one of the last seasons with the Whisperers, is that the zombies were starting to evolve and communicate with each other. Well, how the fuck do we deal with hyper intelligent zombies? But when you watch the fucking show, you realize it's just people wearing zombie masks. They have to whisper so the zombies don't hear them. Zack Snyder felt like he was doing a little more of what I wanted from that. It just so happened that he didn't really flesh it out or put any mythos behind it. I wanted more to it. Them being hyper intelligent didn't really serve any purpose except for motivation from the zombie to specifically go after these people. The Mitchells vs. Machines sees our hero family going on a road trip to drop Katie off at school. She believes she's gonna leave her life behind, go off to film school, and start a whole new world where no one can touch her, not even her dad, who had never understand her. Wow, doesn't that feel familiar? Kind of weird that the dad's name was Rick, which is the actual name of my dad. And he's voiced by Danny McBride, which is like the one celebrity I've always thought my dad resembled. So let's just say this movie was hitting on a level that spoke directly to me. I've always felt like that weird film girl. The film is about growing and becoming a new person, changing your programming while not leaving the things that got you there behind. Characters that are so strongly written, I think it means more and touches more people than when you just broadly write characters. All this to say is I felt thoroughly 100% invested in this children's film that had more creativity and heart put into every second of it than I feel like Zack Snyder put thought into any piece of this film. It honestly felt like one of the lesser Resident Evil sequels without the goofiness that makes those films enjoyable. Zack takes himself way too seriously without giving us enough time or enough care to enjoy the carnage. You could kind of just see where it goes and how it will end, which made the 2-hour journey somewhat frustrating. Enjoy his films. I enjoy his depictions of people and self-determination, whatever the fuck Zack enjoys talking about. But it fundamentally doesn't speak to me on a level that makes me attached to the story or care about anything that happens. So the stakes just weren't there. So when it comes to slam it or jam it, I'm gonna give Army of the Dead a soft slam it. Overall, it just wasn't anything I enjoyed. Unlike the Mitchells versus the Machines, which I will put an absolute full-hearted recommendation. What did you think? Do you disagree with me? I will probably disagree with me. I'm Grayson Todd. Stay swazzy, stay posy, watch some good shit, and I will talk to you next time. Beautiful.